the national chairman of the Pan-Niger Delta Development Forum, Senator Emmanuel Essien, now joins us in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming to Newsnight.
Thank you. Now,
the omission of the Minister of the Niger Delta has been raising the dust in some quarters, and you are particularly concerned. What are your prayers about that ministry and the omission of the minister?
Well, we were surprised when the portfolios were given to ministers, and the Ministry of Niger Delta was conspicuously missing. And we had to summon an emergency meeting of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum to deliberate on it, and we came up with the resolutions that we are not accepting the scrapping of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. The Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs was the initiative of President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, based on the problems that existed in the Niger Delta region. He saw the problems because at that time, the production, oil production, had really gone down to below 800,000 barrels per day, as against the 2.2 or to 2.5 million barrels that was allocated by OPEC. And they agreed that something has to be done. And that ministry was created. In addition to the intervention agency.
With the simplest technology, a few young men are refining crude oil.
Because you find to focus, that ministry was created to focus on the infrastructural development, environmental protection, and also empowerment of the youths. If you go to the area, you see so much environmental degradation. The lifespan of people have been shortened to below 48 years on the average, and any infrastructure you put in the Niger Delta region dilapidates in a very short time. And therefore, these were the things intervention agencies. Intervention agency is never a long-lasting thing. But a ministry will address the problem for a long time. And therefore, we are insisting that that ministry must be put alive, must be made alive.
Okay, now perhaps it's an assumption to say that, I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate here, that the president has omitted or scrapped the ministry just because he hasn't yet appointed a minister for the ministry. But if you look at what the former Minister of Environment said, Mohammed Abdullahi, that the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, on Ogoni cleanup would end this year, 2023. Could that be one of the reasons that the president has been reluctant in paying much attention to the ministry?
The cleanup was not even resident in the Ministry of Niger Delta. And therefore, it's no reason why the ministry is scrapped, if it is scrapped. We are just preempting in case the president wants to scrap the ministry.
So in that case, rather than preempting, have you had, as your forum, PANDEV has an opportunity to have a word with the president to know where he stands on this?
Today is Friday. This thing came out yesterday evening. We tried, Edwin Clark, the leader, tried to call, he couldn't get through. And we had to meet. Ministers are going to be sworn in on Monday.
Right.
And over the weekend, not much could be done. So we are saying that as a people, we don't want that ministry to be scrapped.
Okay, so we cannot really say that the ministry has been scrapped, but yet again, you are particularly dissatisfied with the little attention that the region has enjoyed over the years. So apart from the cleanup and then youth empowerment and environmental protection, what other requests would you make?
The infrastructural development of the place.
Okay.
You see, if you go to the Niger Delta region, there are no roads at all.
But yet again, you say there are no roads at all. But yet again, some would say the monies voted to this region over the years, some would say the money has not been judiciously spent. Perhaps the monies have gone into the pockets of a few. So why would you then justify more devotion of funds into the region?
What happens is that you look at, since even when the Ministry of Niger Delta was created, look at the budgets. Look at the budgets. Apart from the Yaradua and Goodluck Jonathan years that something was voted to the ministry, for the last 8 years, the Ministry of Niger Delta has not enjoyed a vote even to complete the East-West Road. It's impossible, the East-West Road. Okay. And therefore, we were thinking that rather than remove the ministry or scrap the ministry, we are thinking that money should be budgeted for the projects in the ministry.
Okay, let's take the East-West Road in isolation. I'm not talking about other prayers that you have about the region. Do you have any confidence in the new Minister of Works, David Umahi, who is from that part of the country? Do you have any confidence in him about constructing the East-West Road?
He has not started work. And therefore, we cannot say we have confidence. I have confidence in him as a person because of what he has done in Ebonyi State. But you know, the federal system of budgeting is not the same as states.
Right.
So therefore, we would prefer that the Ministry of Niger Delta remains and adequate budgeting is done than take the East-West Road into another ministry.
Okay then, because what if the president has a plan to put all of your requests under different ministries? If it's the East-West Road under the Ministry of Works, if it's youth empowerment, the Ministry of Youth Development, if it's environmental protection, the Ministry of Environment, if it's the oil and gas exploration and use, what about the Ministry of Petroleum Resources? Have you thought of that possibility?
These things should be discussed with the people of the area, because before the creation of the ministry, before presidential amnesty, before NDDC, all these things were discussed with the people. So it should be discussed. The people should have input. The people of the region should have input.
In that case, I agree with you that it should be discussed. But if they say, as they say, if the mountain doesn't go to Mohammed, Mohammed will come to the mountain. If the president is not opening the conversation with you, with Pandef, what about giving him some time, maybe after swearing in the ministers, and then you as a forum, pushing your case to him and then opening the conversation with him?
We'll obviously see him, but we'll obviously seek appointment to see him. But definitely what we want is Niger Delta Ministry and its funding. We are very serious about that issue.
Okay, so Niger Delta ministry and its funding, but yet again, you and I know that we cannot really tell the president what to do. We can, of course, tell him our prayers.
This is democracy.
Yes, I know.
You can suggest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
you can suggest. This is democracy. It should be discussed.
Yeah.
I am a Democrat, and I feel that any issue that affects the people should be discussed.
Okay, as we wrap this up, the last thing I would like to say to you is that over the past few weeks, there have been calls to the president to actually scrap the ministry, that devoting money to the ministries like encouraging bandits and of course also bandits from different parts of the country, from the north, from the southeast and all around. So perhaps it's time to also encourage the president to fashion out ways to put the different needs and prayers you have about the region in the different ministries. And at the end of the day, I think what matters is results. Have you thought about that?
That's what I'm saying. It should be discussed
Okay.
and agreed like it was discussed during Yaradua's time. I was one of those who sat through the discussions.
All right.
It should be discussed during the making of NDDC's act. I was one of those who sat and we discussed it.
Senator Emmanuel Essien, you are the national chairman of PAN, Niger Delta Development Forum, PANDEF. I must say a big thank you to you for coming on Newsnight. And I can only wish you all the best as you push for the development of your region and indeed your people.